Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to cut through the noise and really get to the heart of things.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're tackling something pretty universal, that personal grooming question. Shaving versus waxing. It feels like this eternal struggle for smooth skin, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a constant back and forth for so many people trying to figure out what's actually best.
Exactly. So the big question is, what's truly better for your skin, your lifestyle?
And that's the key, isn't it? Because while both shaving and waxing, aim for the same goal, smooth, hair-free skin, they get there in completely different ways.
Right. Fundamentally different.
And those differences, well, when you really dig into them, they can have some pretty surprising long-term effects.
That's what we want to unpack today. Our mission is to distill the really important insights, drawing from health articles, some dermatological perspectives, and we want to put a bit of a spotlight on waxing, maybe explore some benefits that often get overlooked.
Sounds good. Because it's about giving you the info you need to make a choice that genuinely works for you. Thinking about pain tolerance, budget, skin type. All of it.
Because, like you said, the best method isn't one size fits all. It's personal.
Deeply personal.
Okay, so let's lay the groundwork. These two giants of hair removal. Most listeners have probably tried both, but just for clarity, how would you quickly define shaving?
Okay, so shaving, it's basically trimming the hair right at the skin surface. Simple as that.
The root stays put.
Exactly. The root is completely untouched. You're using, reusable razors, disposable ones, maybe an electric razor, which can be a bit gentler. It's really just a surface level trim. Very quick.
Got it. And then there's waxing, which, as you said, is a different beast.
Completely different.
We're not just trimming here.
Yeah.
We're talking pulling the entire hair root and all straight out of the follicle, usually with hot wax.
That's the core difference. Root removal versus surface trim.
And our sources really seem to emphasize that waxing takes skill. Is this something you'd recommend leaving to the professionals, at least when you're starting out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the experts we looked at really highlight this. Applying hot wax correctly, getting it to grip the hair just right, and then removing it swiftly without causing too much irritation or, worse, burns. It takes precision.
Yeah, you don't want to mess that up.
Definitely not something to just jump into without understanding the technique or getting some guidance or, just trusting a trained professional, which is often the safest bet initially.
Makes sense. Okay, let's circle back to shaving then. The quick, convenient option. What are its main advantages? Where does it really shine?
Well, the biggest pro is speed and convenience, right? Shaving fits so easily into a shower routine, super accessible for doing at home.
And cost.
Generally much cheaper upfront. If budget's a major factor, sticking with drugstore razors and creams is almost always the most wallet-friendly way to go.
And it's often seen as the painless option too, is that fair?
For the most part, yeah. Usually it's just a light tickle, maybe nothing at all. Unless you slip, of course, or you're using a really dull blade, then you might get a nick.
Right.
But because you're just cutting the hair at the surface, leaving the root, significant pain isn't really part of the equation usually. Plus, you can shave hair at any length. No waiting required.
Okay, those are some clear benefits. But inevitably, that convenience often comes with downsides. I think most of us have experienced them. What are the main drawbacks of relying on a razor?
Yeah, the big one is definitely irritation. Shaving can easily lead to inflamed follicles, that annoying itchiness, and the classic razor burn.
Especially with dull blades, right?
Exactly. Using dull blades over and over is a recipe for nicks, cuts, redness. Basically just irritating the skin surface.
And the biggest frustration for many, I suspect, is how quickly the hair comes back. The results just don't last.
That's the killer, isn't it? It's so short-lived. Depending on how fast your hair grows, you might feel smooth for, a day? Maybe 3 if you're lucky. Then the stubble starts creeping back.
So it becomes this constant, almost daily chore to stay smooth.
Precisely. A very regular commitment.
Okay, so that's shaving summed up. Now, waxing. Pulling hair from the root. Let's dive deeper into that. What does it actually involve, and what are the hurdles people should expect? The drawbacks.
Right. Let's be honest here. The first thing most people think about with waxing is the pain.
The elephant in the room.
Exactly. Many people do describe it as, kind of like getting a tattoo, especially the first few times, because you are pulling the hair out by the root. It's a quick sting, definitely some discomfort. How much really depends on your personal pain threshold, but it's there.
And irritation is still a risk. Similar to shaving, just maybe manifesting differently.
Yes, waxing isn't immune to irritation either. You can still get inflamed hair follicles, redness, sometimes ingrown hairs. Because when you pull the hair out, you're opening up that follicle, making it a bit vulnerable for a short time.
And sometimes something called folliculitis.
That can happen too, yeah. Those little red, itchy bumps. The good news, according to the sources, is that a bit of hydrocortisone cream usually clears it up if it does happen.
And obviously, using hot wax means there's a risk of burns if you're not careful.
Which again points back to why seeing a professional, especially at first, is a good idea. They know how to manage the temperature and application.
And another practical point, you can't just wax whenever you feel like it, right? There's that hair length requirement.
That's a key difference. Your hair generally needs to be about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch long enough for the wax to actually grab onto it properly.
So you have to let it grow out between sessions.
Exactly, which means there's that in-between period where you're not perfectly smooth. That can be a downside for some people.
Okay. And what about facial waxing? I feel like there are specific warnings there, especially related to common skincare ingredients.
Yes, this is really important, particularly if you're using products with retinol, like anti-aging or acne treatments. Retinol makes your skin more delicate, more vulnerable.
So waxing on top of that.
Yeah. It can increase the risk of lifting the skin, causing scabs, irritation, maybe even infection or scarring in rare cases. It's absolutely crucial to tell your esthetician if you're using any retinol products. They need to know to adjust the treatment or maybe advise against waxing that area altogether.
That is a super important heads up. Okay, so we've covered the potential downsides, the pain, the risks, but now let's get to the core focus.
Yeah.
The benefits of waxing. Despite those initial hurdles, this is where it really starts to shine, according to our sources. What's maybe the biggest long-term advantage?
This is probably the most compelling benefit and maybe the least understood. Waxing, done consistently over time, may actually lead to thinner, sparser regrowth.
Really? So it's not just removing the hair that's there.
Exactly. Think about it. Every time you wax, you're pulling the hair out from the root. Over time, this repeated action can actually damage or weaken the hair follicle itself.
So the factory producing the hair gets weaker.
Sort of, yeah. It can lead to the hair growing back, genuinely finer, softer, and less dense. It's like you're gradually discouraging the hair growth. Now, it does vary from person to person, hair type matters, but the potential for this change is absolutely there with consistent waxing.
Wow, okay. That's a potential game changer compared to shaving, which definitely doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And I've also heard waxing acts as an exfoliant.
It totally does. That's another great bonus. When the wax strip is pulled off, it doesn't just take the hair, it takes the top layer of dead skin cells with it.
So you get smoother skin in two ways.
Precisely. It leaves your skin feeling incredibly smooth and often looking brighter, more radiant.
Right.
It's hair removal and exfoliation in one step.
Fantastic. But, okay, the benefit everyone talks about, the reason people often put up with the initial ouch factor, is how long the results last.
This is the big payoff, right? We talked about shaving lasting maybe 1 to 3 days. With waxing, because you're getting that hair right from the root, the source, you're looking at smooth skin for 3 to 4 months.
Weeks, that's a huge difference.
It's significant. It depends on your personal hair growth cycle, of course, but it's a vastly longer period of smoothness compared to shaving.
So translate that into everyday life for someone listening. What does that mean?
It means way less frequent upkeep, less time spent thinking about hair removal. You know, instead of shaving every day or every other day, you have one appointment, maybe once a month.
More freedom,
Yeah,
basically.
a lot more freedom, more time enjoying smooth skin without the daily hassle. It really simplifies that part of your routine.
And interestingly, even though there's that initial risk of irritation we discussed, some sources suggest waxing can actually reduce skin irritation overall, especially compared to frequent shaving. How does that work?
It seems counterintuitive at first, but think about the long term. While you might get some temporary redness right after waxing if it's done properly, you avoid the chronic issues often linked to shaving.
Like constant razor burn, nicks.
Exactly. You're not dragging a blade across your skin every single day. Over time, avoiding that constant friction and microdamage can actually be gentler on your skin. Fewer ingrown hairs for some people too, especially if you exfoliate properly.
That makes a lot of sense when you frame it like that. Okay, let's talk time and money. Because initially, a waxing appointment seems more expensive and takes longer than a quick shave at home.
It does, up front. A single session costs more than a pack of razors, and it takes more time than a few minutes in the shower.
But the long-term view.
That's where it shifts. Think about the cost over, say, a year. How many packs of razors? How much shaving cream do you buy? And how much time do you spend shaving multiple times a week? Compare that to one waxing session every 4 weeks or so.
So the cost per month might actually even out, or even be less for waxing.
Potentially, yes, especially if you factor in the value of your time. Fewer sessions mean less overall time dedicated to hair removal. And you might find the cost balances out or is even favorable when you look at the bigger picture. It's an investment in longer-lasting results and convenience.
That's a really useful perspective. Yeah. Okay, what about where on the body these methods are typically used? Are there areas where one is clearly preferred or areas to be extra careful with both?
Well, both need caution in sensitive spots. For waxing, that's often the bikini line, maybe around joints like knees or elbows where the skin is tricky. For shaving, you need to be careful in skin folds, and again, the bikini area can be prone to irritation.
And facial hair.
Facial hair needs extra care with either method, as we discussed, especially with the retinol consideration for waxing.
And general use cases.
Shaving is super common for larger areas like legs and underarms just because it's quick and easy to do yourself at home. Waxing is often the go-to for smaller, more precise areas. Think eyebrows, upper lip, and definitely bikini lines, including Brazilians. People often prefer the precision and the longer-lasting results there.
Got it. And are there any areas where you should just avoid hair removal altogether, no matter the method?
Oh, definitely. You absolutely want to skip any area that's already irritated, sunburnt, or has active acne or inflamed pimples. Same goes for skin, near healing piercings, or areas with moles or warts. And definitely avoid the inside of your ears or nose. Basic safety.
Always safety first. Okay, so let's say someone listening is intrigued by the long-term benefits of waxing, maybe tired of the daily shave. What are some practical tips for making that switch smoothly?
Okay, first things first. You have to let the hair grow out. Remember that 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch length we talked about?
Crucial for the wax to grab.
Exactly. So resist the urge to shave beforehand. You need sufficient length for the waxing to be effective. No stubble.
And you mentioned exfoliation earlier. That's important before waxing.
Super important. Gently exfoliating the day before your appointment helps remove dead skin cells. This makes it easier for the wax to grab the hair and seriously helps prevent those pesky ingrown hairs later on.
Makes sense. Now, this might be the toughest one for long-time shavers.
No.
You have to stop shaving between waxing sessions, right?
Yes, this is key if you want those long-term benefits like finer regrowth. Shaving messes up the hair growth cycle. Waxing works best when all the hairs are kind of on the same growth schedule. If you shave in between, you'll have hairs at different lengths, making the next wax less effective and potentially more uncomfortable.
So commit to the wax cycle.
Pretty much, yeah. Let the wax do its thing consistently.
And finally, the advice that keeps coming up. See a professional.
Especially when you're starting out. A pro ensures it's done safely, effectively, with minimal discomfort. They can assess your skin, use the right type of wax, and give you personalized aftercare advice. It makes a huge difference in the experience and the results.
Okay, so we've really dug deep into this shaving versus waxing showdown today. And while shaving clearly wins on immediate convenience,
Quick results, low upfront cost, easy access.
our deep dive really has highlighted why waxing could be, a really worthwhile investment for your self-care routine, especially thinking longer term.
Absolutely. We've seen it offers that much longer lasting smoothness, which is huge. Plus, the potential for hair to grow back finer and sparser over time, and that great exfoliating benefit for skin texture. It's about optimizing for results that stick around.
But ultimately, the choice is yours, right? It really boils down to what feels best for you and your life.
Exactly. Think about your hair, your skin, the specific area you're treating, how much pain you're willing to tolerate, what look you're going for, your budget, and just ease, what fits into your routine.
Our advice. Maybe experiment a bit if you're unsure. Try both. See how your skin reacts.
And if you have sensitive skin or any concerns, definitely chat with a board-certified dermatologist. They can give you the best personalized advice.
Couldn't agree more. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Considering everything we've unpacked today, what does choosing your hair removal method truly say about how you prioritize not just immediate smoothness, but maybe your skin's long-term health and appearance?
Something interesting to mull over.
Indeed. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.